Hey guys, it's AJ Francis from WWE's Most Wanted Treasures coming in hot with WWE legend and two-time Hall of Famer, the Nature Boy, Ric Flair.
AJ
Woo!
Francis of the Washington Redskins, now NXT. Woo!
How you doing, man?
Good, man.
You feeling all right?
Never felt better.
I
My wife
love to
bought me a
hear it.
boat.
Oh, yeah. I was. Hey,
Yeah,
is she buying
this is
any
one of
more?
my
I could
wives
use a
that
little.
has not stolen anything.
What
She
else?
buys me things she doesn't leave with them.
Hey, that's always the goal to get one like that. I
Oh
tell you
my
one thing.
God! And has a black American Express card.
Ooh, and that thing heavy too. That thing like a brick. I tell you
Woo!
what. Woo, 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 woo.
Yeah. And
Uh,
I'm on her Starter Kid Junior card.
Before we get too deep, here's your reminder to tune in to Rick's 2-hour episode of WWE's Most Wanted Treasures, premiering on A&E tonight at 8 p.m. The season finale. It was definitely my favorite episode that we filmed because Rick was the only guy that I filmed with the entire time. That every night that we filmed, we went out and got something to eat, got a couple drinks. If I showed up a little late, he was on my neck about it. I showed up late one time in I think it was Charlotte. I showed up, I was in the door maybe 10 seconds. He was like, "Hey, we need 3 tequila shots for this guy right here." I was like, "Okay, Rick, let's do it right now." You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
Uh, did we lose you, Rick?
I said you work hard, you play hard.
Hey, I love to hear it. His daughter and WWE superstar Charlotte will also be making an appearance on the episode tonight. For my money, she's the greatest women's wrestler of all time. I know that Rick is in agreement with me. And it's
Thank you.
it's the
Thank you for
season
saying that.
finale, man.
Thank
So
you.
it's gonna be big. Rick, let's jump right into the good stuff. Your fans, myself included, have some burning questions for you. So we're gonna listen to some questions. You are often referred to as the ultimate showman in tonight's episode. Do you agree with that prestigious moniker?
The Ultimate Showman. Yeah, I can go. I like that.
I mean,
Yeah, I definitely can. I concur with it.
to me,
Yes.
to me, like you are the closest iteration in character to like I would say like a Muhammad Ali, a guy that had it all in the ring, but not only did he have it all in the ring when he was doing what he was doing, but he also had the vision and the foresight and the ideas to make his character bigger
Yeah.
than even how good he was in the ring, to the point that like when people talk about Ric Flair, you have classic matches with everybody from Steamboat to Harley Race. The list goes on and on. But like you don't, people talk about your promos, and to me, that's
Yeah.
always way cooler.
Well, I couldn't thank you more for the comparison. I obviously was a big fan of Ali's, as I was like Joe Namath. But yeah, I mean, I think the key to my success was I actually believed, like Ali did, that I was the best, and then he bragged more about I think his skill in the ring, and I just bragged about how much fun life was. So
Yeah,
which entailed the ring, and yeah, I appreciate that compliment. I really appreciate that comparison, but I was pretty full of myself back in the day. I'm not
rightfully
going to
so.
be shy. According to my wife, I'm still full of myself.
Yeah, man. Hey, do you? For me, this was a really cool episode. But you kind of made my life a little harder because we're looking obviously for Ric Flair robes as one would expect, but like
Yes.
you have a robe in the Smithsonian, so like you kind of killed my price point. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
you made it hard for me to bargain when people are like, "Well, this is so historic. It's in the Smithsonian, so I'm
Yeah.
gonna need $10 million for this robe."
Well, I told you the story. I think I don't know whether it airs tonight or not, but that the day when I minute I walked outside, when I came back through the tunnel in Orlando, 5 maybe 10 minutes after the match. Oh, let's say a half hour. I got a text from a guy in Charlotte that was actually in attendance that wanted to buy it for $100,000. And then my rolled his boots and the knee pads. But anyway, so my agents that time talked to me, and the Smithsonian wanted it, and at that time, I kind of feel like that's for, because I refuse to think that I'm retired.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's for old people. Lindbergh maybe like that. But anyway, it's there. It's right next to the Tommy Lasorda. So
Oh man.
I split time with Carol Burnett now, which is making me want to take it back.
So
Who's Carol Burnett compared to the Nature Boy? Come on.
I mean, Carol Burnett's one of the greatest female comedians of all time. Well, just one of the best comedians of all time. But
I certainly know
I'm
that.
rocking. I'm rocking with Nate. I'm rocking.
She's a lot older than me, isn't she?
Do you So Starrcade '83 was the first time you wore your robe, correct?
No, actually, I had worn it before. Since you and I have talked, I wore it maybe 2 weeks before.
Oh, okay.
Just to see how it fit and everything.
But it was the first big moment that you got an opportunity to wear the robe and show the fans.
Yes.
Do you what's like your biggest memory from that night?
It was made for that match. But I wore it before, I think, once or twice.
And what was your biggest memory from that match?
Well, the biggest memory was as I said, and I've told a lot of people over the years. I thought I was ready to be the world champion. Won in '81, and then I found out really fast, to my dismay, that I wasn't, because I had been wrestling really good wrestlers my whole career, and I had not stepped out into the real world of wrestling guys that weren't as prepared as I was.
I feel that,
especially for the hour-long matches. And the hour-long matches it's hard to explain, but they can be the greatest thing on paper. I mean, you've seen them, AJ. They can be the greatest, or they can be a nightmare with someone that doesn't have the experience. And number two is someone that doesn't have the cardio or the stamina, which is a special kind of cardio and a special kind of stamina and a special kind of mental attitude, mental and something in your heart, because hours are long and hard. And the idea, of course, is to build to the finale with the last 5 minutes. You're really killing it, and a lot of people aren't prepared for that.
What's crazy to me is the fact that, you were doing an hour every night, 6 nights a week. And
I did over 300 hours 2 years.
That's what I'm saying. So
yeah,
you're doing an hour that often, but people, wrestling today and WWE today, it's we got the best athletes that the business has ever seen, but can't nobody do that? Can't nobody go an hour right now? I mean, I'm sure there are people. I'm sure there are people that
I think there's some guys that could, but it's not called for anymore. And for now, because the competition and the ability to flip the channel, and then nobody wants anything to be slowed down. And at some point in time, in an hour, unless I was wrestling Steamboat, we stopped. If I was wrestling Steamboat, we didn't stop for an hour. And you know what I'm talking about. But
yeah, go.
He was a special kind of guy. So, I appreciate it. And back then, that was the thing. They weren't all on TV, obviously.
Yeah.
But people, we were sold out, and people paid to see him. And getting back to Kane, I was wrestling guys that weren't prepared for that, nor was I. So winning it back in '83 was an opportunity for me to prove to myself and to the promoters that backed me, and to the fans, that I could handle an hour with anybody. And at that point in time, I could.
And you obviously, if you handled an hour because you handled a plane crash. I mean, you got to be the only person in wrestling history who gets better after a plane crash. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
knock on wood.
How did you first of all, I want to know what was your mind like while the plane was going down, but because that's a feeling that I would love to hear you express, but never want to feel in my actual life. And more importantly, like, how did you come back from that?
Well, first of all, we were flying. It was an afternoon show in Wilmington, North Carolina. We all lived in Charlotte. We didn't know anything about aviation, and every time he was flying with us, we were over gross, which means where
Mm,
the plane was carrying more weight. So he
then
would
it should, yeah.
compensate. So he would compensate that, or try to compensate by carrying less fuel. And of course, we were all unaware of that, not having a good time talking, finding an easier way to get somewhere, and driving 3,000 miles a week, which we did for years, over a 7-day period. That's 300, so it's a lot of driving. So,
Hell yeah.
anyway, afternoon show, we were flying along, perfect weather, and all of a sudden, the right engine started to, like you see in the movies, boom, 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 and boy, it pinned, and I went, wow. And I saw Farkas had headphones on, so we couldn't hear what he was saying. In a plane, like you see him wear headphones time now, but they have the capability of putting a speaker on in a private aircraft where you can hear what the tower is saying.
Hmm.
We didn't have that communication available to us, so I thought, oh man. So I'm thinking, okay, we'll be fine if we can land on one engine. Good weather, we'll find something. Because I'd heard about guys landing on highways and stuff like that. I'd already heard some nightmare stories about our business in that regard. So just private aviation, period. Because I thought private aviation was something I've always liked, and I was
I
going to
can
buy
dig
that
that.
plane. Well, I was going to buy that plane. So I was going to buy that plane, and actually, I was going to buy it with a guy named Jack Mulligan, and we were going to buy that plane, and then one of us learn how to be a pilot. As ridiculous as that sounds, we can have the humor later on. My wife's over here laughing because she knows I can't add two and two. I can push a button that says navigation. So the next engine went off, guys, and I have no problem telling you I was so scared. The next thing I remember is them pulling us out of the plane. We'd crashed into a airboat embankment. You've seen the pictures
Hmm.
at 230 miles an hour, which means we were probably going in excess of 300 because we tore the tops off of all these trees going over, which slowed down the course of the airplane. And they were pulling us out, and the one of the medics back then, they had the ambulances very similar to military ambulances, from years ago, where they'd put racks where you could carry like 5 people, not like where they just put one person, almost like in a
Hmm.
hospital room now. You know what I mean? And I heard the guy say, "Hurry! I think we're going to lose this one." And I thought they were talking about me, so I thought I was dying. And
Wow.
the next thing I can remember is Walter McDaniel's. I was laying on this cold steel table. You've seen him from the old days in the emergency room, and heard Walter McDaniel's going, "Where's Ric Flair?" And I thought, I knew the voice, right? Well, they almost had a riot in the hospital because people were turned into the animosity they saw on television, and because of what we were selling, for wrestling, they thought Wahoo was coming in to beat me up. He was coming in to make sure I was still alive. So yeah,
That's incredible.
it was a different time. Yeah, but he's the first person I can remember talking to. And then
That's
I
hilarious.
ended up, yeah, we ended up staying there for a month, I think. And then I went from 260 to 180 pounds.
Wow.
And I just remember laying on my stomach. All I could do at that point, there was no surgery needed. Compression fractures of T10, 11, and 12. Your vertebrae about this far
Hmm.
apart in your back. So this much, an inch and a half, almost 2 inches in height, I lost right there. I was just a little over 6'2". So anyway, I didn't even think about it. back brace, and the first time I could finally, I think I told you this, I could finally go down to the office, walk in and think I would be received as some kind of a hero. The guy I worked for, George Scott, who's not with me anymore, but I owe a ton to in the development of my character, looked at me and said, "What are you doing wearing that back brace? Take that damn thing off. Every other muscle in your body is going to act. You're embarrassing me and you're embarrassing pro wrestling."
Wow.
That's how it was back then, man.
Oh, wow.
No pride in wrestling. Sympathy,
And
get ready to go.
and
So
I mean, then it ended up, leading to the Nature Boy. So I mean,
yeah,
I guess
yeah,
he did have a point. So
yeah. Well, he's responsible for that too. But the doctor, and I healed. The doctor told me it was a miracle, but I healed, and I've never questioned it. I'm just thankful that I'm here. Able to do this with you,
I know that
especially.
I
Go
know
ahead.
that I know that you're thankful for just being alive, but I know
Mhm.
that one thing that you're a lot more thankful for is getting to see your daughters rise in
Oh,
the wrestling business. One thing I
it's
wanted to
great.
know was obviously you're famous for the figure four, and Charlotte does the figure eight, which is a figure four with a bridge. How did the idea to make the figure eight come about? Do you know? Was
That she did it all on her own. She's she's incredible.
she
I've
is?
never. I wish I could tell you that I helped her with anything that she's done in the ring, but I haven't. I mean, I just if she'll ask me a question, but never about her in ring work. So I asked her what I think of it, or what I obviously how I feel about her performance and all that. But everything that she's done, she's developed on her own.
Wow.
Natural selection, obviously the moonsaults and the
Hmm.
corkscrew moonsaults, the figure eight. I mean, she's beyond great, and I appreciate you bringing that up because it's I can't say enough about her, and as I've said before, I'm very respectful of the opportunity to do shows like this. Talking about my career, but I'm so proud of her and what she's accomplished, and I just tell her, you learn from this because people want to buy her stuff now too, and I tell her just hang on to it. You
Yeah.
know, not for the sentimental value of nothing else. You don't need the money. Don't sell it because somebody wants to come along. I mean, and I just anyway,
And
incredibly proud
it's
of
an
her.
absolutely appreciating asset.
Yes, yes, and I just like you said, she is the greatest. I think she's the best wrestler in the company. I
I,
mean, it's her, Randy, AJ.
I
They're all in
love
the
her.
same.
I mean, I wore her shirt to WrestleMania 34 in
Yeah,
New Orleans. Like
yeah.
I've been the big
Well,
Charlotte fan
it's,
since the beginning.
people,
You know what I'm saying?
people forget she's 5'11" and 155 pounds. She's not some little girl. I mean, the corkscrew moonsault at that size is a big difference than a 5'2" gymnast. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
So yeah. So
Um, Rick, obviously you were you're a fan. Well, I mean, you were a fan favorite. There's a lot of people that hated you, but they loved you. They hated you so much that they grew to love you. But
at the end, yeah.
obviously, all your fans they want to get involved with this too. So we got a couple fan questions that we wanted to ask you. You ready?
Go ahead. Uh-huh.
All right. Well, Peter asked if you could redo any match in your career, which one would you pick? That is a great question, Peter.
I can tell you off the top of my head, Sting. At the Great
Ooh.
American Bash, I would have submitted in his hold the Scorpion
Scorpion Deathlock,
instead of
yeah.
instead of the small package.
So you're saying, oh, so that's a good way to think about it. I was thinking like
Because
redo as in
I
like
watched
do
it
it
back and I
again,
think
but
to myself, well,
you're thinking
back then
change the finish.
we back then everybody fought giving submitting. I mean, I was like, even if I got a guy with a figure four, they would pass out from pain.
Uh-huh.
You know what I mean? I mean, I don't remember guys hated to submit. And I look back on it now and I think to myself, I did so many other things that people didn't do. Why wouldn't I have just submitted? You know what I mean? Because it was a huge moment for him. The reaction was great. But I just look back, and Also, in the match that I had with Sting, the first one ever on TNT, first Clash of Champions. The cameraman, and the timekeeper got messed up, and I sat in his hold too long. But those two matches stand out the most. I mean, I can't complain. I can't. I don't know if I would have changed anything. I wish that I hadn't had the anxiety level. Uh, I'm talking about the crippling anxiety that I had before a lot of matches when I lost my self confidence. But I can't change that. I can't look back on that as I can just tell the story and hope that nobody else ever experiences that, because it's in any sport. If you have anxiety and you're not thinking about what you're doing because you're trying to figure out how to survive it. When I explained it the other day by saying if baseball player is having an anxiety issue, how's he ever going to hit 100-mile-an-hour fastball? If you're preoccupied with anything, whether you have an issue with your wife or you're arguing with your kid. I mean, if you're going to be good at something, be good at it. Got to block the outside out and be able to really reach that level of greatness that that either you have the ability to have and put on display.
I agree.
So outside distractions and anxiety can be huge.
What's crazy to me was that when we were on the road and we had these conversations, and like it's crazy to me to hear Ric Flair, arguably the greatest to ever do it, say that he lost confidence in himself. Yeah, like in the ring. That's crazy to me because like when I look at you in the ring, I just see confidence. But to hear from you, it's like, man, that's all the show, man. I wasn't really who I was saying I was at the time, and that takes a big man to admit that now.
Well, I can give you time. But the reason it wasn't talked about before is it would be depicted as a weakness. And how am I going to tell somebody? I mean, how do I look at Arn Anderson and go, hey, Arn, I got this going on, or go look at my opponent? Nobody cared back then. I mean, not that it's any more sensitive now anywhere. I think that the pretense is that we're all sensitive to everybody's problems in life, but at the end of the day, we all know, all of us on this screen, that everybody's sensitive to your problem about as long as
you're standing there.
You're standing there, then they go back to what their problems are. That's life.
Yeah, that's true.
But so I'm not going to be able to look at somebody and say, hey, I'm not feeling this today. Can I go home, take a day off? No, like that. But I have no problem talking about it now, because if you've dealt with that, it's almost worse than being sick physically.
I feel that.
It can really, self-confidence can really, I went from being the world champion 8 times to having a guy look at me and tell me he wanted to call me Spartacus. I mean, the story's told so many times. It's not like I'm harping on it, but I went home and thought, what is this guy? And then I let him talk me to cut my hair. And I walked through the Charlotte airport and nobody knew who I was. Bingo.
And that killed it, man. You
hey Nate, what are you doing? Woo, 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 woo.
Nothing. And that's and that's crazy because, like, obviously, if you change in front of the fans, the fans take a little while to recognize the change that you've made.
I almost went for the earring. He wanted me to wear an earring and go as Spartacus, and I just went home and said, I'm out of here. I got to go. And he fired me. So
that made that easy. We got another fan question. Joey asked, who on today's roster would you have liked to have a match with that you haven't already? Obviously, you could say Triple H or Randy or one of those guys.
Oh, no, it would be Roman.
Oh,
Roman Reigns for sure. Yeah.
Top of the business right now.
Yeah, I'd love to be a heel versus him, a big time. I got to wrestle AJ at TNA, but I was 62 years old or 63. I mean, obviously not ready I think AJ is phenomenal.
You guys win an hour, right?
No, no, but he carried me for 15 minutes. There's just there's so much talent over there. I mean,
yeah,
I've got respect for all the guys. Cesaro's another guy I would like to have wrestled. But the first guy that comes to my mind, I would love to have been when they turn him around. I would love to have that opportunity.
Man, you and me both.
He represents, and he's just the kind of guy that, like, right up my alley. You know, our guy's got that look and that you can really get the kind of heat on that people like, and it generates a little, the anxiety, not anxiety, the tension between two characters. But yeah, I mean, they're all talented, but AJ comes to mind first. I mean, Roman comes to mind first. AJ second.
And I'm gonna pretend that the AJ you're talking about is me for sure.
Yeah, of course, that's fine. That could happen.
Hey, I'll tap tomorrow to a figure four. I'm not above the business. You feel what I'm talking
about? Yeah. Thank you.
Charles wanted to ask, what was your most memorable championship win? That's a good question.
My most memorable championship win. Oh wow! I would have to be when I was able to win the title, the NWA title for the second time.
83.
That was huge. Yeah, and then the next one would be, only because my parents and all my kids were there, would be with Vader in '93. Wrestling Leon. I was supposed to be Sid, and then they had something happen in Europe that's documented. No need talking about that. And that was being held in Charlotte, so they came to me and said, "Yeah, how does Leon feel about this?" Then the story on that. It was a fight for my life, but it was really cool to have my mom and dad there, who only got to see me wrestle maybe 3 times in my life.
Wow.
So it was, yeah. And all my kids were there. It was pretty cool.
That's amazing, man. Well, I would like to keep going. There's a lot of stuff we could talk about, but unfortunately, we are out of time. So I just wanted to thank you, Rick, for giving me not only your time today, but for how cool you were when we were on the road filming WWE's Most Wanted Treasures. Like, Ric Flair, people ask me all the time, they're like, what was your favorite thing about doing Most Wanted Treasures? Man, I got to go to Richmond, Atlanta, Huntsville, and Charlotte with Ric Flair. Like, what other places would you rather go with the Nature Boy? You know what I'm saying?
And you were late for every night out.
That is not true. I was late twice.
You did drink a little tequila. The town you missed was Nashville with Darius.
I know.
What in the heck?
I wasn't even asked to come to that, which is rude to me. Like, that's
really rude.
Of all the stuff that I've done for the show, we go to Nashville for Darius Rucker, and they're like, you can stay in Orlando. What the hell is that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But make sure you guys check out the 2-hour Ric Flair episode tonight.
Guaranteed to be the highest rated.
I agree on A&E. And, you can join the conversation with the hashtag WWE on A&E while you're watching. And now let's take a look at what's in store tonight.
You can't talk about Ric Flair and not give a woo.
Woo, woo, woo. On the 2-hour season finale,
the holy grail has got to be the black butterfly robe.
Sometime in '95, he wore it on a Nitro. Nobody saw it again.
It's an amazing part of Ric Flair's legacy, and finding that's important.
woo.
I can't put into words what it means to be part of all this.
This is the greatest moment in my life.
Woo! WWE's Most Wanted Treasures 2-hour season finale tonight at 8 on A&E.